Our guest today has a greater understanding about Auburn's quarterback situation after talking to several of the folks competing for the starting job. And also, we will predict Auburn's path to the SEC Tournament Championship. All that and more on today's Locked On Auburn.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Joining me as he does every Wednesday for a War Rapport Wednesday, the one and only Mike G. Since we've last talked, Mike G, you have talked to two of Auburn's quarterbacks on the War Rapport. TJ Finley released earlier this week, the conversation with him, Robby Ashford the week before that. What kind of insight have you picked up on after these two conversations?
Zach, hard work is back, and we have a competition brewing in that quarterback room. Robby Ashford gave us some insights into why he made the decision he made to leave Oregon and come to Auburn. He talked about really, what was told to him by Coach Harsin. He was brought here for a reason. He's been given a chance to compete. He plans to make the most of that opportunity to compete. TJ Finley feels like he's got a leg up on the other guys, having been in the system and understanding what the expectations are. He's given a lot of grace to this coaching staff for year one. He talked about it during the interview. Hey, listen, it's the SEC West. Everybody needs time to grow and learn. He feels like that's been happening. But aside from that, he marked his biggest area for improvement as consistency. He understands that he's got to be more consistent. He's got to be more consistent, and he's been making strides this offseason to be a better leader. He talked about going to get guys out of their room to go throw, and he doesn't go to throw without telling the other quarterbacks that he's going to throw. So, they're really building some camaraderie in there, but ultimately only one guy can start. It's a competition. So it looks like we've got a pretty good quarterback room. And I would say probably, Zach, maybe the first real QB competition we've seen since I don't know when, right?
Yeah, was Bo and Joey a few years ago legitimate? Like, was that
absolutely
an actual competition?
Not? Yeah. Absolutely not.
The farther we get away from it, the more it's like probably not, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and throw Bo and Malik in there as well too. That wasn't really a competition.
Stidham and Sean White, like probably not. It seemed like it was Stidham from the get-go. Yeah, right.
Yeah, now Stidham was clearly the better guy, and I was never a real big Sean White fan.
Dude, I was. Holy cow, I was. I was a real big truther.
I just wasn't a big Sean White fan, but Stidham was, he had the tape. Coming in, he had the tape. Right. And, he was one of the best deep ball throwers in the country after his freshman year at Baylor.
Don't know what happened to that, but he was a good quarterback here.
Yeah, he was a real good quarterback, and they were one SEC championship game away from the playoff, taking Auburn to their first playoff. So this QB competition is going to be fierce. It's going to be competitive, and I feel like it's going to be fair. Now, was it fair before? Depending on who you ask, Bo was the best guy. Seeing Malik Willis perform at the combine tells me, there's some question that's questionable at least. At the very least, we can ask ourselves.
But I don't even think Malik was given a shot. I mean, it was down to Bo and Joey in the spring, and Malik's like, yeah, I don't have a chance here. Like, I don't even think he was in actually competing for the number 2 spot. It seemed like the best he could get was the number 3 spot.
Yeah, if you read the comments that he made on the quarterback competition, he essentially said he was told, we're not going with you. And he wasn't told explicitly why. He did assume why. Now, he said he had some work to do in the film room. He wasn't taking his film very seriously. That's not feedback that was given to him. I just find it kind of odd that a guy that was self-aware enough to know why he didn't get the job somehow couldn't be coached into a serious competitor for the job. Yeah.
Old regime, not relevant anymore. But
yeah, didn't understand it. But, now we got a real competition going on.
So going into watching your interview with Robby Ashford, the question I was asking myself really since he announced he was transferring to Auburn up into that video. And I don't know if the video really answered it, Mike G, but I'm leaning more one way versus the other. The question was, does he have a legitimate shot to win the job? Is he here to compete and win the job? And he certainly appears to seem like he has a shot at it. And I don't know how legit that is. I hope it is legit, but like that's still a question where I'm like, okay, if Robby Ashford balls out and absolutely kills it, can he be in a situation to beat out Zach Calzada in the fall? Like, that's still a question that I have. Do you feel like you know the answer to that question after talking to him a little bit?
Yeah, I think he does have a legit shot to win the job. Okay. Now, everybody's area for improvement, we don't have any question marks over who needs to do what to improve. TJ Finley needs to be more consistent, more accurate. He's not as mobile as the other quarterback, so he knows what he's got to do. He's got to get the football out of his hands. He's got to know where he's going with the football. He's got to be able to read defenses. Being able to escape the pocket is not going to be a facet to his game that he's going to be able to lean on. For D. Davis, he's kind of in the same boat that Ashford is in. He's spent 1 year in college. He did not see the field. And he's had limited opportunities, but it's going to be a race to just absorb the system. Calzada probably, what I would say, if not for the shoulder surgery, would have been the front runner. But he's going to be extremely limited this spring. So that's a lot of reps that's going to go to somebody else. So one of these guys is going to get a chance to make a move up that depth chart. I believe this quarterback battle is going to go well into fall camp. I find it highly unlikely with Calzada hurt that we come out of spring with them announcing a quarterback. But I do think that he's got a good shot.
I don't see the benefit of them announcing a guy after spring. I don't care how impressive they are. There's no reason to at this point of the offseason.
The reports on Ashford are that maybe he needs to work on his touch a little bit on shorter passes, on short and intermediate passes. He's got a cannon. He can throw the ball. And his deep ball looks good. The people have been raving about his deep ball. But, when you're trying to hit those short passes and you can't throw with touch, you make the catch a lot harder for your receivers. So that's where, we saw a lot of that from Bo last season. So he's got to work on that. And I'm sure he's getting that feedback in real time here. But I think if he improves on that, he's got just as good a shot as anybody.
I'm there with you. And I think that if that is true, I think that's great for the Auburn quarterback situation moving forward. Hey, Auburn basketball's path to winning an SEC tournament championship, it could be easier than some folks are saying. We'll get Mike G's thoughts on that in just a moment. But man, do I love March Madness, and I love all the brackets. But I can't remember the last time I actually went deep or even won any money playing this. So this year, I'm hedging my bets with Stat Heroes NCAA Pick'em contest. Stat Heroes NCAA single game pick'ems. They pit the star players against each other in an amazing hybrid between fantasy and sports gambling. Take back control from the handicappers that always seem to have the advantage, and check out Stat Hero as they give you the advantage, resulting in the gamers winning 4 times more often. 4 times more often, because Stat Hero eliminates the mystery about who and what you're going up against. So be sure to check it out for free right now at stathero.com/lockedon and use promo code LOCKEDON for a 100% deposit match. That is stathero.com/lockedon. Use promo code LOCKEDON for a 100% match. Can't beat that. Terms and conditions, of course, they apply. Also, today's show brought to you by Fetch Me. Of course, we all know and love Fetch Me Home Delivery. They've all really gotten us out of a pickle when we've had a long day and you needed to order dinner for your family or just for you, whatever it may be, or you've been out at the office and you just couldn't get away. Fetch Me is taking care of that. But now they are delivering alcohol and spirits right to your door. Just go to fetchmealcohol.com and they will have whatever beverage you need to your door in a short amount of time. And want to encourage folks, if there is a place in the Auburn, Opelika, Lee County area where you typically buy your alcoholic beverages from, you should tell them, hey, go to fetchmealcohol.com and sign up to partner with Fetch Me, so then you can start getting your products delivered. So they've got thousands of different products there, all at fetchmealcohol.com. Mike G, before we jump into more things, how can people check out everything you have going on at the War Report?
Just head on over to YouTube. Yeah, hit subscribe. We are the War Report on YouTube. You can find us at the War Report on every single social media platform as well. But we've got a lot of good things going this offseason. We will be on site for the SEC tournament. So Ike is going down to cover the tournament. He'll be there hopefully all weekend. But Auburn kicks the tournament off on Friday. And we've got just a lot of great coverage this offseason. So we're doing a quarterback series. So look out for more interviews with players who will be competing for jobs this spring. Just a lot of great stuff coming this spring.
Absolutely. Mike G, Auburn's path to another SEC tournament championship, it could be easier than a lot of people are saying. And the reason I say that, Mike G, is because a lot of people are still worried about that Florida matchup, that potential Florida matchup that could take place on Friday. But I think there's a very real chance that Texas A&M beats Florida. And I think Auburn matches up very well against Texas A&M. But even if the Aggies do not beat the Gators and Auburn has to play Florida again, I still really like Auburn in that matchup. I just don't think that there's a chance that they could shoot that poorly again. And I think their defense is going to hold up and travel really, really well. And so this is one I'm not concerned about. And then also, this has kind of been something because Zep Jasper came on here earlier in the week and talked a little smack to Arkansas. Then Arkansas people found it. It's kind of gone viral in Arkansas circles. But
okay,
did you see that?
I didn't. I missed it. What did he say?
I mean, he essentially said like they're pumped to like beat the crap out of Arkansas.
Oh, I mean, is that a hot take? Really?
I don't know. But, people are like, people clipped it and they're like tagging the Arkansas basketball program in and stuff.
Good.
Whatever. Great for my analytics guys. Thank you for watching, Arkansas fans. But as far as the whole that potential rematch, I don't think it's a given that they beat LSU. And I think Auburn would much rather play LSU than Arkansas. Am I off on that?
No, you're not. This is the most competitive we've ever seen the SEC in basketball. There are a lot of good teams. We've got 6 strong tournament teams with 2 fringe teams who could make a case to come off the bubble and get in on the back end. So Florida is definitely one of those teams. I would probably throw Texas A&M in there as well. If they somehow made a run all the way to the SEC championship game, they could possibly make a case. If they won it all, obviously they would be an automatic bid. But it's wide open. So you're right in those first rounds. It's anybody's game. Now, as far as Florida is concerned, I'm not concerned about playing them again at all.
Why not? I agree with you. I just want to hear your reasoning.
Yeah, my reasoning is the same as yours. The chances of us shooting that poorly again against them, now they got us in the swamp. Right? Like, we're not going back down there. This is, we may be in Florida, but it's not in Gainesville. So I just think that this team, and I was actually on a presser with Bruce Pearl earlier today, and I asked, hey, you're in get it done or go home mode now. You got to win every game or there's not another game. So, offensively, what do? Do you try to run the offense more through Jabari Smith, or according by his own words, he's saying Jabari wins his matchup every night. What they need is other guys to start to win their matchups more consistently. Or do you lean on and just trust that these other guys are going to start to win their matchups and keep doing what you've been doing all season?
Right.
So they'll have to adjust in real time. He understands that Jabari is going to have to play a bigger role here in the postseason, but he believes in playing 10 guys deep. We're going to see Chris Moore start to get some time here, and
I hope so.
Change the rotations up. So. Yeah, so I'm not sure Flanagan has been. He's kind of been an offensive liability for them at times. I like us in a rematch against Florida, and particularly, I just don't think. I don't think that Kessler's going to be in foul trouble again. And there were so many things that just kind of played into Florida's hands. But I can honestly say every game that we've lost this season, it's more about Auburn playing down than other teams playing up, because our defense has been solid in every loss.
Yeah, and I think that element disappears when the team Auburn's playing against isn't the home team.
Absolutely.
You all these teams that have like not played in front of a full stadium all season, all of a sudden they've got an energized crowd because the top 5 teams coming in town. And so, I mean, it's the Kentucky effect. It's what's happened with Kentucky for, as long as we've been alive. They're always good. And so that would be the loudest I would ever see Auburn Arena or Beardy's Coliseum if you want to go back a little bit. I mean, even that place would be close to full, and Auburn was terrible. But when Kentucky came into town, everybody came up, suited up, ready to cheer on the Tigers. So Auburn's just getting that effect now.
Yeah, I'll give you a stat, though.
Okay,
if Auburn is Auburn is plus 40% from the field, I think
it's over.
Win this. Yeah, I think it's over.
It's over.
Every loss that we've had, we've been sub 40% shooting.
Yeah.
And over the first half of the season, they were steadily over 40%. And then, over the back half of SEC play, those percentages started to drop. Now, we were 43% versus UConn, but in SEC play, all the losses have come when we have shot at 40 exactly or lower. So if they can get that going, and you're talking about a few shots that we normally hit, where some players like Wendell and and even Flanagan
KD,
are having
Allen,
terrible games,
right?
Like, they're going 2 for 10, and KD going like 1 for 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't see that happening. Once we get into the tournament.
I'm there with you. Devin Cambridge. I mean, if one of these guys just shoots a little bit better, I mean, Auburn's undefeated.
Yeah. It's just not. It's really fluky kind of thing. So I just don't expect those guys to have those types of games. If Wendell Green hits one more 3, right? Like that kind of. I mean, that's how close these games have been. And if you look at the top 10, Auburn and Duke are the only teams in the top 10 currently that haven't been beat by double digits.
How about that?
This season, nobody's beaten us by double digits.
Yeah. And in something where everything's close, I like the team that has Jabari Smith on it. I like the team that is coached by Bruce Pearl. And I like the team that has been in constant close games and prevailed in the vast majority of them. I think that's going to be something that's really, really beneficial for the Tigers moving forward. Which team in the SEC tournament are you most concerned with from a matchup standpoint against Auburn? Mine's Kentucky.
Yeah.
I think they're playing really. And I said it after Auburn beat Kentucky when we were doing the post-game show for ESPN 106.7 during the season. And I kind of got some pushback on this, Mike G. But I was like, we're probably going to have to play them again. Auburn is probably going to have to play those guys again. And I don't feel super confident about it. I said that right after the matchup, and I still stand by that.
Yeah. Sheboy is a force. Right. I mean, he's great. And if Ty-Ty's healthy, if you ask Kentucky fans, if Ty-Ty's healthy, no other team ever has a shot. Right.
Correct.
But I am Kentucky is the team that scares me. They're still the most loaded with talent. And I know that we lost to Tennessee and Arkansas, but honestly, I just think it took really bad performances from us for them to win those games. So it's got to be Kentucky. That's got to be the team that you're worried about doing this. And they're going to be highly motivated in that one to try to, get some revenge.
Right. Mike G, a lot of Auburn basketball fans, they're playing this weird game. I'd love to get your thoughts on it in a moment if you're okay with that.
All right.
All right. Hey, today's show brought to you by Run Your Pool. March Madness is here. It's upon us with Selection Sunday coming up this Sunday. As soon as that bracket is up, Monday morning, you need to go to runyourpool.com. Because trust us, they are the best place to run your bracket pools, hence their name. Seriously, though, they have such awesome customizable features regarding scoring. It's very, very easy to use. The interface at runyourpool.com is excellent. So regardless, if it's your family group that you want to set up or your friends, or if you have a fantasy league that you kind of do these things with, workplace, whatever it may be, go to runyourpool.com. They're the best. We've done our research. We are running our brackets there. So go to runyourpool.com/lockedon and you compete against us and you can win cash prizes. So be sure to check that out at runyourpool.com/lockedon. And while you're there, enter the code Pure Madness at checkout for $10 off your custom pool. That is runyourpool.com/lockedon for your chance to win some cash money, people. And also make sure you are ready. If you plan on betting on March Madness, get ready to go at betonline.net. It is the best place to wager on all of the madness happening throughout March and April. So head over there, betonline.net. You will not regret it. All right, Mike G. A lot of Auburn basketball fans, they're playing a weird game. Mm-hmm. And let me know if you've seen it. A lot of people are asking the question of like, okay, how far does Auburn need to go for this to be a successful season? Or if they lose at any point in the tournament, when is it considered a failure? And to me, that's just a really weird mindset. And y'all call me out all the time, about, approaching things weird, and that's fine. We all have different ways that we approach things mentally. But people asking the question, like, if they lose in the round of 32, is this season a failure? Like, that is just such an interesting approach to what's about to happen over the next few weeks.
Yeah, a failure? No, I'm not seeing it, but I got to tell you, I don't know.
Twitter and heard on some of the local radio shows here.
I don't know if you can, as well. I will say losing in the round of 32, if you're a 1 seed, is definitely going to be really disappointing. We still project pretty tough if we're in the East region, which is Philadelphia. But I gotta say, I don't know if I would go as far as calling the season a failure if we lost, especially when in a season where you've got probably a potential number 1 draft pick, you win your conference. You possibly win the SEC tournament crown.
Sure. Yeah.
Can you really call that season a failure? I think if we're looking at the whole body of work, while it would be disappointing, anything can happen in the tournament. Right. So if we're guaranteed, now I will say, for us to call the season a complete success, we got to make it to the Elite Eight with this squad.
The Elite Eight is your point.
Yeah, to me, it's not all or nothing. It's not, it's not Elite Eight or complete bust.
Okay.
Right. I think that a lot of fans could stomach a loss in the Elite Eight because by that time you're probably, with some team that matches up pretty evenly in terms of talent and coaching.
Sure.
Through those first 2 rounds, if you're a 1 seed, you should be able to clear that. That's what the Blue Bloods are doing. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I would venture to say that most of the time those 1 and 2 seeds are making it through to the Sweet 16 a good percentage of the time.
Yeah, they survived that first weekend. That's such a big part of it. So, I mean, I'm there with you. It's weird to me that folks are asking this question because it's like, you have a championship, you have a ring, and this could be a type of season that does a lot of things. I mean, you mentioned having the number 1 overall draft pick. That's a big deal. That's a program changer. And I mean, Bruce has another championship under his belt. So, I mean, to me, I don't think it matters what happens. I mean, just survive the first weekend, I guess. I mean, I think that's important. But I mean, it's been a ride already.
Yeah, listen, I did a podcast with our guy Auburn Memes from Twitter, and we talked about new bloods versus blue bloods, and at what point is a blue blood no longer a blue blood, and at what point does a new blood, or what qualifies as a new blood, and at what point does a new blood cross that threshold into a blue blood? Mm-hmm. Auburn, I think is firmly established as a new blood if you make the Sweet 16 this year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 2 and 3 tries. That's a very good rate. And we don't know what would have happened in the COVID canceled season as well, too. That team was definitely going to make the tournament.
No doubt.
But we would have had, I think we would have had to sit that one out per the rule, per the terms of the self-imposed sanctions. So we may not have been able to go to the postseason, but still
the sanctions didn't come till after that.
Did it? Okay, because I'm unsure on the timeline. I just know that team won 25 games, right? So
they were eligible.
Sure. You're looking at making the tournament every year, being a 4 seed or higher every year, and then making those deep runs consistently into the tournament establishes you as a new blood. I don't think you can be a blue blood without a championship. under your belt. I think you got to win a championship to be a blue blood. Now, Bruce Pearl, we interviewed him. He said he's not really interested in being a blue blood. He just wants to win. Right. He said, he said you could have all that.
Those things go together, though, Coach. Those things go together.
Yeah. He's not going to get a choice in the matter if he wins. But he's establishing a culture where they're producing one and dones every year. Every year, his best player goes to the NBA now. So I think next year won't be any different. But Auburn is definitely in new blood status. And I don't think there's not a whole lot. Unless you blow it like Virginia, like that's a failure of a season. If you lose to a 16 seed as a 1, that's a failure.
Yeah, or if you lose to a 15 as a 2. Yeah, I mean that's a big L for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it invalidates a lot of what you did prior. But losing in the round of 32, if some team plays out of their mind for some reason that game, I don't think you could invalidate all their accomplishments this season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking like that's what Auburn's team did the last time they won the regular season. They shared it with Tennessee. They beat College of Charleston and then, got blown out by Clemson in the round of 32. And it's like, okay, well, Auburn got to hang a banner in basketball for the first time in forever. Like that was a big deal. So, I mean, it was a different kind of perspective at that point. But I mean, this team, if they don't go to the Final Four, they will always have that question of, man, what if they would have gotten hot and turned it on a little bit later in the season instead of, when they did. I mean, that'll always be a question that circles this team, I think, regardless. But I don't think that makes it a failure or a bummer or, a success or anything like that. I mean, I just think this team has already kind of elevated the program. And I think anytime you do that, that's a success.
Yeah, you can't look at the talent and the results and look at where they came from and go straight to failure. It can't be championship or bust. Because other teams are going to have a say in that discussion. And sometimes, that team just plays better than you. Ultimately, what you look for is effort, Zach. And Bruce Pearl has said it repeatedly.
You're going to get effort.
Yeah, we may lose, but it's not going to be because we were resting on our laurels. That's a Bruce Pearl way.
Right. Absolutely. Mike G, one more time, how can people check out everything you got going on at The War Report?
Very simple. Go to YouTube, search The War Report, hit subscribe. Join as a patron. We got a lot of stuff, great stuff going on there. We're on every social media platform. So catch us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TW Rapport on TikTok.
Yeah, be sure to check them out. You can follow me on Twitter at Zac Blackerby, and you can check out all of our written work at auburndaily.com. Tomorrow, I will be joined by Auburn tight end John Samuel Shanker. He talks about the offseason, preview spring practice, and a whole lot more. All that on tomorrow's Locked On Auburn.